A new speedy opening. Welcome to Wingman's Hangar, episode 16. Can't believe we made it this far, but let's chug ahead. Got a lot going on this week. We've got the week in review. We've got forum feedback, wide world news, and we've got an interview with designer Nate Blaisdell. So let's just get right to it, shall we? It's a huge week at Cloud Imperium. Chris has been down. Chris is here in Austin leading the charge, having tons of meetings, making sure we're all making progress on everything in the Star Citizen universe. Dave and Dan and the Double Ds. Dave and Dan are both here, working hard. Our office is overflowing with people working their tails off to make this game for, well, us. Really, the game's for all of us, right? We started working on the Galaxy system map. Put it up on the wall. You'll be getting a look at that sometime in the future. Not right away, but we're going to chronicle it as it goes so you can see how much work gets done when you're actually putting a physical map up and tying it together. I don't want to give too much away. It's really, really cool. And if you didn't see it, you got to check out PC Gamer. We had images of the 300i. We're going to throw a couple up here that are even more detailed. This is not, by the way, folks, rendered. This is in the game engine itself. Take a look at that. Absolutely stunning. Wonderful. It's only going to get better as we do that, so I'm glad you guys got to see that. It's gorgeous. We love seeing that stuff here, and it's so much fun to be able to show. Usually you don't get to share this stuff for like months, and that's some good work right there. This week we also worked on ship upgrades and add-ons. We're going to have, what you have available to customize your ship. We all know we like a little customization now and then again. And we had a very special visitor this week. Chaos Griffin came to say hello. Well, just take a look at this.
Like I said, it's like you've given us all the dreams, from Wing Commander all the way. So it's like, couldn't help it back.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you for backing us, by the way.
The best fans in the world, represented right here.
Right, guys.
Tell me your name.
Mike, our Chaos Griffin.
Our Chaos Griffin. Thanks, guys. Who wants to go to Five Guys? Yeah. Thanks, Chaos, man. You are the best. See you in the verse. Incredible stuff. Chaos, big ups to you. And the post he put in the forums was incredible, too. Really warms our heart. Hey, guys, this week we have an all-new segment here on the Wingman's Hangar. It's called Hot Topics. Hot Topics with Brittany Gottfried. Take it away, Brittany.
Thank you, Eric. Here are this week's hot topics on the RSI website. Hot topic number 3, how to increase cockpit visibility. Hot topic number 2, is dogfighting in the game too slow? And hot topic number 1, crossbows, what good are they in space? Back to you, Eric.
Thanks, Brittany. That's amazing. And what good are crossbows in space? I can't believe we've been having that discussion. Crossbows have been used for thousands and thousands of years. They're a stealth weapon. You just never know what's going to happen when they're... Oh! And we're back. Hey, thanks for shooting me.
You're welcome. It definitely made it through the belly shields.
Oh, the belly shields. The belly shields. By the way, the belly shields, I am on a weight loss program. Am I too big? Should we start all over again?
Get on the shot. All right, go on.
All right. Anyway, so listen, you're in town.
Yep.
You're leading the charge. Forum feedback time. Yep. Should we just get right to it?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Alleycat says, will recoil be modeled into crossover weapons?
Recoil is definitely modeled into all the weapons in our game. So it's actually part of CryEngine. They have recoil. There's a lot of recoil functionality in the game. So recoil for ballistic weapons, recoil for things like the crossbow, which is a ballistic weapon, and potentially recoil for some of the energy weapons, depending on the kind of energy weapon it is.
Well, that would be interesting. From Jason Alaska, he says, will we be able to customize primary and secondary ship colors in addition to selecting skin textures?
Yes, so we're working on the customization aspects right now of Ship's Christmas, sort of working together some options. But the goal is to allow you to be able to choose some base colors for the ships that you have, as well as also place some decals. And our big debate is on the decal side. We're going to definitely have some pre-done decals that we'll give you. And then the question is, are we going to let the players design some of their own decals, which could be cool as long as they're not necessarily making decals
that are questionable decals.
Questionable.
Yeah. Like
so we got to figure that out. So.
Yeah, exactly. That makes sense, and that'll be cool. And we'll, maybe we'll have a process where they have to go through us. We'll see how that goes. Ken Shadow, one of our best video guys, sent this in.
Wingman, it's Ken Shadow again from DreadCitizen.com. We've had a little trip on our sensors, detected a non-corrupted humanoid in Sector 7. I'm pretty sure it's Legante. Gonna get them this time. I've patched you in so you get to enjoy the kill. Before that, though, I got a quick question. In the spider information, it mentions a passcode to land on certain platforms. Is that something I'm going to actually have to remember, or will my ship's computer do that remembering for me? Thanks. I'll patch you into my sights so you can see. Who the frol is that?
So I don't know which one of you guys can't remember AB5647Z8 through .Z asterisk. But if you can't, we'll let the computer remember it for you. So you'll sort of get it like a key, and then it'll be part of your Moby Glass PDA. And then you'll be able to deploy it around the place. So we're not going to let you.
It's kind of like a key, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a key. You're not going to have to write all the different passcodes down.
You have a list of passcodes, and maybe we'll hide the ways to sneak into networks that way. Who knows? From $9, he says, will we be getting different types of clothing with style and flavor? I want to be a space trucker who wears a cowboy hat. Well,
yes.
How do you answer that?
No. Yeah, we are definitely going to have customization for your avatar in terms of the outfits and clothes that you're going to be wearing. So you can be a space trucker with a cowboy hat.
That would be interesting to see, actually. Are you going to be a space cowboy with a cowboy hat?
I'm not going to be a space trucker with a cowboy hat.
Not a space trucker with a I might need a mother trucker. All right, from Night Moss. He says, will devs be playing the game along with the rest of us?
Yes.
Of course we
will be playing the game. We're making it for ourselves, so yes, of course we're going to be playing it around the game.
Absolutely, we're going to be targets.
And I've already told the dev team that Wingman's ship will necessarily be heavily gimped. And he'll be, so you'll be like, hey, I keep on getting... Eric, you're probably not very good, that's why. No, man, that's not cool. You killed me one shot.
One shot, one kill, man.
I'm sorry, you just need to learn how to fly better.
If a crossbow bolt blows up my Hornet...
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to be a little mad about that. Razor Xerax always sends in the interesting questions. From him, he says...
As I was drifting in Gemini sector and killing pirates, a couple questions popped in my head. I'm fine with restricted visibility from the cockpit. I fly by radar and like the cockpit bulky. But with the Oculus Rift, will it be possible to lean forward to see behind the support beams? Second question is, if a Vendual fighter rams me, or a ship explodes in my face, will we have effects like this, as we try to run away and struggle to get to safety?
Okay, so yes, I mean, when you're wearing the Oculus and you're looking around the cockpit, the whole cockpit is obviously rendered in 3D and will move, and you'll get that wonderful immersion and stereoscopic space. The Oculus isn't particularly great on lateral motion, so if I go like this or like that, it doesn't really have the sensors to be able to detect that just yet. But whenever the version 2 does, then we'll support that. But essentially, we track wherever you're looking, your headspace in 3D and mapping the cockpit. So it'll be pretty immersive. It'll be pretty great. And then in terms of damage, absolutely. I mean, if you remember the original Wing Commander, your ship had cracked monitors, sparks, all that kind of stuff inside your cockpit when you got damaged, and we're definitely doing that, but obviously with the fidelity we can do nowadays. So it would not be Star Citizen Squadron 42 without doing that. So that's a big focus, to have that level of detail going on inside the cockpit, which is where you're going to spend a huge amount of your time. So we're very focused on making all that entire environment be as detailed and nuanced as possible. So there you go.
Amen. That's going to be awesome. From Sam B, he says, will I be able to battle in chase cam view as well as within the cockpit?
So yeah, I mean, you will be able to fly from chase cam view, but it is definitely not going to be sort of arcadey or shooter or even like Freelancer, where you have the full HUD and all the features available to you when you're in an external view. You'll have to be in your cockpit to have proper access to your HUD and the different displays you have in the cockpit. I mean, I just sort of think that I know it will probably be controversial with a portion of our community, because obviously we've got a lot of people that love Freelancer, and then we have a lot of people that love Wing Commander. But for me, I really want to put you in the world. I want to put you in this cockpit. I want you to feel like you're flying it, and so the immersion of it's very important for me. And I feel like if you are on the outside and watching your ship, it sort of becomes more gamey and less immersive. So you will be able to fly externally, but you won't have all the sort of I guess aids that you have inside the cockpit. So hey, props to you if you can shoot someone down without having a
no reticle.
But I really want you to feel like you're in the cockpit. So that's the design decision that I've made, and was actually something that I was pretty strong on, even well, for a long time. It's kind of the way I feel about it. So
Okay, cool.
Sorry to the Freelancer people that want to be having HUD and everything on the outside.
Oh, they'll get used to it. It'll be fun for them anyway.
Yeah, they'll enjoy it.
From Blacksmith Wolf, he says, will the RSI team be making it to PAX Australia?
So this year I don't think we'll make it, but we're actually quite interested to come to Australia, so that actually could be a possibility next year. So
Our VP of Marketing likes to go to Australia. She's from there.
Yep, Sandy's Australian,
Yep.
and we have a large amount of people from that have backed us, that are part of the community from Australia. I mean, Australia is as strongly represented as Canada and pretty close to the UK, which is pretty impressive, since the UK has got a much bigger population than Australia or Canada. So yes, no, that's definitely on our list, and we're also going to try our best to make sure on the server side that we have a solution that will let people in the sort of Australasia region play the game without really crappy pings. So we're working on that. That may mean that you play with people in Australia, but Austria with the ping won't be so good. But in Australia, the ping will be good. So yeah, we're sort of, that's one of our focuses on our sort of back-end technology, to try and make the experience work pretty well around the world.
Yeah, not to mention our number one, the guy who owns the most ships, which what you guys saw yesterday in the comlink, if you haven't seen it, named the Rad. He has 59 ships, and he's from Australia. He's a great guy, too.
Basically got his own navy.
Yes, he does. In the Navy. From Mellow Tigger, he says, some people overpledged on Kickstarter for add-on ships, including some ships with limited availability. When will we be able to commit those funds so our ships are confirmed for our hangars?
The credit system is going to be functional on the new side. I mean, we were looking at building it for the old site, but since we're completely refactoring and building this site from the ground up, it didn't make sense to spend a significant amount of engineering side on something that we're going to throw away. So the credit allocation program and a whole bunch of really great features are coming in the new site. The new site is... I think we're going to probably go into a limited test at the end of next month, and then probably roll it out fully in June. But we're going to obviously we have to test it to a certain extent. So I think we'll probably invite some members of the community to help us test it. So we've still got to figure that out because we don't want 100,000 people testing the site day one because then you're not really testing it.
You're just breaking it.
So I don't know whether we'll do a lottery or people can say, hey, I'd like let me test a new site or something like that. But we'll figure that out in the coming weeks. But yes, the functionality to be able to spend your credits will be in the new site, as well as a lot of other things where you'll be able to sort of switch out something you have for something else in credits and move around and essentially sort of arrange the things that you've pledged for in Star Citizen.
Cool. From Mufasa75, he says,
Mufasa75 here, and I've got a question for you. Once the game is launched and our hangars are integrated into the universe, will we be able to choose their location, or perhaps choose from a list of provided locations, or will their location be chosen at random?
So on the hangar front, I think we're going to let the player potentially choose some of the options. We're still also figuring that out. There definitely will be more than one place that will let players start on the universe, because we can't have everyone start on the same planet. So we were sort of thinking, if you go through Squadron 42 and you muster out, you may have a choice for some different places. Maybe that has something tied into what you do in the single player campaign. If you choose not to play Squadron 42, then maybe some of the places or choices you would start would be different. So we haven't fully decided whether it's a combination of some randomness and some choice. That may be one way to do it, but we'll definitely spread the player base out and as far as sort of home planets. And I guess what we would focus on is the home planet that you would choose as the base would sort of be good for the kind of thing you want to do. So if you want to be a pirate, probably you don't want a home base like Earth. You probably want to be somewhere else. But we're still working that aspect out.
There you go. From Leprechaun, he says, how will leveling work? Is it solely based on your purchase of a ship you can fly, or are there any skills or training you will need to fly certain ships?
Okay, so we don't have leveling per se. We're not an RPG. It's not like you're going to be strength 18 and dexterity 17 and level 30. For us, there's a couple of factors. One, your ship and building it up, getting better components, tuning the components, and then also just you as a player. As you play more, hopefully you'll get better. We are considering, or we haven't decided 100%, that there will be some classes of ship that you may need to fly some missions or get some training for before you have it, just like in the real world. So in the real world, if I want to drive an 18-wheeler truck, I can't, with my normal driving license, I'm not allowed to drive an 18-wheeler truck. I have to go and get a driver's license that says I am class of...
commercial driver's license.
Yeah, I'm a commercial driver and I can drive a vehicle of this class. So we may do that, which isn't really leveling, but it's sort of a task or a mission that you would have to do at some point before you could buy or fly one of these ships. So we're still working that out. So I hope that answers your question.
I used to be a dexterity 17, but it significantly dropped.
Yeah.
I'm like at 2.
2.
Yeah. Just about 2. From Scott Allen, I don't know how to describe this. Just roll it.
Please take a moment to describe the mechanics of shipboarding using only interpretive dance.
So we are kind of thinking of that, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, we figured that was better than watching Eric do an interpretive dance. So,
dexterity 2 people do not.
Yeah. Interpretive dances.
And from Travis T, he says,
Hey Wingman, Travis TS. Just wondering, what is the current thinking on selecting the planet of origin for our pilots? Thanks.
It's kind of similar to the last
one.
Yeah,
I think that is. I mean, we've got some ideas when you start in Squadron 42 that anyway, it's built into the story and narrative, but by some of your early conversations, you sort of determine kind of what your adventure is going to unfold and kind of what you're into. Are you sort of aggressive? Are you the guy that wants to save the world and all the rest of stuff? And I think maybe that will also impact a little bit of where you're from and stuff. So we're going to try and figure out some of the origin stuff in fiction. But again, that's stuff that we're currently working out. But that's part of what I was talking about with the choices in the various places where your hangar would be, because maybe you base yourself out of your planet of origin, maybe you don't, maybe it's a place you met on your tour of duty if you're playing Squadron 42. So we're still figuring that out, but it's a good question.
So now my turn to ask a question. So big news in Los Angeles. We got LA office stuff going on. What's going on?
Well, I'm actually flying back to LA, and we're setting up the servers and the final stuff, the fibers getting turned on. Sweet. And Monday morning we should be up and running in our new LA digs, which are going to be great. So we'll be having some video show and content that will come from there, which will be great once we've got everyone in and sort of up and running. But now instead of everyone in LA up till now has sort of been working from home and then occasionally coming down here to Austin or getting together ad hoc in LA. We haven't had a sort of big permanent office, so now we have one, so we can sort of gather everyone together and we'll just feel more like a proper company.
Awesome.
So it's going to be good. So expect to see some content and updates coming from there, and we'll have some footage to show you the new LA offices. And we got a great deal, and we're actually right next to Ouya's office. So if you remember the Kickstarter console,
right on.
they're next door to us. We're down in Santa Monica. It's quite nice. And
so we can check on our pledges because I know we both backed the Ouya.
Yeah. So, so it's kind of fun. So it's cool, and the landlord did a great deal for us. So we actually got something that he actually redid it for us, and but I think he's kind of into it. So he's the landlord of the Ouya people, and his construction manager is the brother-in-law of Julie Ehrman, so he's kind of into crowdfunding. So he kind of thought it was cool to get us, and so did more than he needed to do for the place, which is cool. So it's going to look really nice when you see it, but we actually financially didn't spend very much money on it, which is also good because it needs to go in the game, not in fancy digs.
Well, cool. So it'd be nice to get everybody together, rather than parsed out. So it's fantastic.
Yeah. And they do look fancy. We just didn't pay for it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's the best way. Yeah, get it fancy. Just have somebody else to pay for it. I like that. All right. Well, I want to thank Chris for joining us here. And now you guys know what time it is. That's right. Wide World News. Finally, spaceship engine technology may be catching up with the vision of spaceflight depicted in future fictional works like, Star Trek and Star Citizen. NASA and a group of University of Washington propulsion experts will begin building a fully working fusion drive rocket that could potentially propel astronauts to Mars in just 30 days. Requiring a fraction of the fuel of conventional rockets, a pellet the size of a grain of sand would replace a gallon of chemical propellant. That pellet, made of deuterium tritium, is magnetically compressed by bands of lithium to initiate fusion, and the resulting plasma ejected out of the engine at 30 kilometers per second. Such a motor would be considerably cheaper to launch than a chemical rocket system, since there's much less fuel to escape Earth's gravity. That is pretty incredible. And now we'll look back in time with This Week in Space.
On this day, April 12, 1961, cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human to journey into space. Gagarin's Vostok 1 space capsule was lifted from the launch pad atop a Vostok K rocket, and 6 minutes and 17 seconds later, the engines shut down. Over the course of 108 minutes, Vostok 1 traveled around the Earth once, reaching a maximum height of 203 miles. Gagarin's engine fired a retroburn to slow the craft down and bring the cosmonaut back to Earth. Upon returning to Earth, Gagarin was treated as an international hero and traveled the world to celebrate this stunning Soviet achievement in space.
And that is your Wide World News. Today's Hangar guest is designer Nathan Blesdell. Michael Moreland takes a moment to learn his story.
My name is Nate Blaisdell, aka Nathan or Nathaniel, and I'm a senior game designer working with Rob, and I'll be doing a lot of mission design, system design, stuff like that. As soon as I had my C64, I knew that I wanted to do something in game business, and I didn't know what, but eventually as I got older, I realized, there's no degree for doing games, so I picked the closest thing, which was computer science. And right out of college, I had an opportunity to do a QA on System Shock 2. So I took that, and then from there, right after that, I got a design job at Irrational Games. I've worked on Thief: Deadly Shadows, Thief 3, Deus Ex: Invisible War, Doom 3, Spider-Man 3, lots of threes in there. The nice thing about being in game design is that you often play a lot of different roles based on where you are in the project.
And welcome to Cloud Imperium.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
And here he is, the man himself. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, and it's Blaisdell.
Blaisdell. Well, it's Nate.
Or Nate.
Or Nate.
Just Nate.
Or Nathan. Or Nathaniel.
Whatever you want.
All right, okay, then it's Blaisdell. Hey, man, you don't sound like a Texan, so where are you from?
I'm originally from Vermont, but I've been in Austin off and on since around 2000. So.
2000. Were you? Where did you start? Where did you start working? Which company did you start with?
I actually started in Austin.
Yeah.
Well, in Boston, I actually started my first games.
But I mean, in Austin, were you?
Ion Storm Austin.
Ion Storm Austin. That's Warren's thing, huh?
Yep.
And then it turned to Junction Point, and then Disney, and then whatever. And so, I understand that you like Magic, but not the kind that poof, but rather Magic: The Gathering. How long have you been playing that? I mean, what?
I've been playing the paper version since '94-ish, but it wasn't until the online version came out that I started to get a little over the top with it, and I've been playing it since about
PC,
the time
or
it
you're
came
playing
out.
PC or Xbox?
The PC version,
right?
The one that's basically like the paper version but digital. So yeah, I've got a little bit of an addiction there. So.
Yeah, fair enough. So you don't ever play the cards anymore?
Oh, I do. But I like to, when we do paper, I like to have it be a group of friends that I'm playing with.
Sure, fair enough. I mean, I have boxes of those things. I think I started collecting back when it was, just past the beta area, and so I remember getting Legends, the Dark. I still have the Lotus, all the Moxes. They're just in storage somewhere.
Those are worth thousands of dollars.
I hear that. Maybe I'll pledge them towards a new Star citizenship or something. So you worked on Thief 3.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very innovative game. How was it working on that game, and whom did you work with? What was your role there?
I was a designer on the project. Did a lot of level design, but design in all aspects for the game. Worked with Randy Smith, he was the project lead.
Mm-hmm.
He's done some mobile games lately. Emil Pagliarulo, who was one of the lead designers on Fallout 3. So, but I was responsible for the Outlook Manor mission and the Overlook Manor and Rutherford Castle mission. So.
Well, it's in Thief 3. I mean, it's one of those things where level design is crucial because you're really kind of telling your story, or you're creating the gameplay with your level. And we have a lot of that in Star Citizen, in that you're doing the Squadron 42 missions right now, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. And, it's less 3D building, but it's still the same principles.
Right. You want to drive them through the story the right way to where we support what we're trying to do there. This is a weird question, but you put it on the list of things to ask about. So you said, I hesitate to ask, but Pine Mouth, what is it, and should we be this close?
Well,
you had Pine Mouth? Were you living in a forest? What?
Okay, so I had some pesto one time, which has pine nuts in it.
Okay.
And the next day, everything that I would eat that would be classified as sweet was utterly bitter.
So you reset your taste buds?
Yeah, and it lasted for about 2 weeks.
That's weird. What happened?
It's a rare Chinese pine nut that only affects certain people, and It's horrible.
So could you eat bitter stuff and it would be sweet?
Just it only the sweet things really affected me.
So that's kind of there's no need to go back in there. And by the way, some fans sent us some ghost chilies this week and dared us to try it on the show. We haven't found a taker yet. Just saying. You want it?
I might do it. I've been known to spice it up.
You know what a ghost chili is?
Yes.
All right. Well, we'll talk about that.
Maybe a tenth of a ghost.
Maybe. So you are the caretaker of an action figure, Garrett the Thief, and the only one ever made?
So back at Looking Glass, the QA department made a Garrett action figure, and to my understanding, it's the only one that exists that I would deem official. But here it is.
That's it? And people wonder why QA people stay in QA.
This is
Just kidding. I started in QA too. Just kidding.
The original Thief games had reflective mirrors. This is what you would see.
That's awesome. And innovative. They're obviously not artists. Still good though. So, so you guys started something pretty cool for the game this week, the star map, the galaxy map. How's that coming?
It's pretty good. We've got over 100 systems mapped out on it.
Redacted! Just kidding. Just wanted to say that.
We're figuring out the layout, how we're going to position everything. But it's coming along. It's looking really good.
And we'll show that at some point in the future. We'll give you guys a look at that, but not yet. We're going to chronicle as we go, so we kind of show a bit and bob as we're hanging out there. All right, man. I want to thank Nathan for joining us here today. Chris Roberts, as ever, for stopping in and doing the forum feedback and shooting me with his crossbow. Who knew that we already had it nerfed? And thanks again to subscribers for allowing us to the show and all the pledgers out there for your support. Without them, we're not doing this really cool thing. And by that, I mean making the game, not this real cool thing here, right? Coming up this week, we've got some important stuff. We've got name reservations, a big post on how that's all going to work later today. We also have an invasion from Canada. It's coming very soon. As our partners north of the border from Behavior come down and get their hands dirty on Star Citizen, we're going to give them the download of how it's going to work. Don't forget the after show, Wingman's Hangover, an informal look at discussion on the chat roll on our site about what you liked, what you didn't like. Well, mostly about what you liked. I really don't want to hear what you didn't like. If you didn't like, tell it to your wife. And remember, if you want your stuff featured on Wingman's Hangar, send it in. We just might use it. See you in the verse.
Jab. Especially hot.